go ahead and call the meeting to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom? Here. Mrs. Spiritu? Here. Ms. Laird? Here. Ms. Lewis? Here. Mr. Price?
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting from September 25th, 2023, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lewis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. Moving on, legislative report.
Let me see.
Okay. No walk-on items tonight.
No, sir.
Hearing of the public in our community section. We don't have anyone wanting to address the board. So moving on to superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you very much. Board greetings. Just want to go through a few things and then we'll have a pretty short agenda, I think, for this evening. Just so you have a heads up, at the next meeting, we're trying to have it for tonight, but we didn't get it from Gil Bain. It will be the resolution to make them the CMR for the stadium project. So I'll have that for you next time so we can get that officially taken care of. They're kind of doing the work and help us keep going, but we need to do a resolution. So I'll have that for you at our next meeting. I went down to BASA last week, which is the Buckeye Association of School Administrators. It's the Superintendent's Association. Spent 2 days down there and just, it's always good stuff. First day we heard from the governor and he sort of talked about what's happening with the Department of Education and Workforce and how it sort of started but didn't start. And he's got a judge then is sort of holding off on that. So right now we're a little bit in limbo. We think there's still someone in charge. But we're just kind of taking care of kids every day and doing what we do best. And that kind of leads me to another thing. Gary Click, Representative Click, asked me to come down tomorrow to Columbus and speak as a proponent for a bill he's introduced that would allow superintendents to evaluate students who may have brought a gun to school after the 1 year. Right now, legally, I can give 180 days for a weapon. He's proposed a legislation that would allow the district to get a psychological analysis or maybe a psychiatrist analysis of that student and then make that a part of their readmission back into school, which I think is actually a pretty good idea. If that evaluation didn't go well or there were mitigating circumstances, the superintendent would have the prerogative to maybe extend that a little longer until we got some more help or got some more therapy, got some more counseling, whatever we thought we needed to do. So I'm going down to talk about that with him tomorrow. Also a good chance to talk to him about some of the other things that are happening down there. You may have heard a little bit about the real estate taxes and they're high. So the legislators are looking for some ways to ease the burden on our real estate taxes for the community. And no one is arguing with that's a good idea. There's a lot of, especially fixed income folks that are really in trouble. So, but we're trying to make sure, and from my association, we're hearing, we don't want to kill a gnat with a sledgehammer, to borrow a phrase, make sure we don't maybe overdo and maybe make mistakes long-term with changing that tax structure in a way that makes sense for maybe a 1 year, 2 year problem and not a forever fix that may hurt us down the line. So a lot of conversations happening there. So I'll get a chance to talk to him about that.
Quick question for you.
Yes,
on
sir.
One of those, on the one with the student with a firearm.
Yes,
Is there, so you can suspend for 180 days currently. There isn't any, I mean, beyond that, it is just
They're back.
they're back at school.
That's right. That's exactly right.
There's nothing else in place other than they
Exactly
spend 100
right.
days, 180 days out of school.
Exactly right. So it's a must return or may return. I mean, no more limitations.
No
whatsoever.
stipulation of any kind of mental
None.
health evaluation or help or
Correct.
counseling or
No,
anything.
nothing.
It surprises me.
Yeah.
Actually.
So I think this is a good step. And I actually made a suggestion to Representative Click that maybe I don't want that sole responsibility as a superintendent. I'm certainly not an expert. But, we now have our trained threat assessment teams across the state that have been trained to assess threats. I thought, well, maybe someone from our threat assessment team could be a part of a committee that would look at that situation. So it's not just the superintendent. So I think you can imagine there'd be an awful lot of pressure, I think, from your community to not let that child back in, no matter what, right?
Right.
So and there's also one of the opponents is the ACLU, because they say, well, that could be abused. Really, you could start targeting kids and make sure certain kids don't get back in school, right? So my recommendation to the committee tomorrow will be that instead of just having a superintendent, there'll be a committee that will look at that. I think is a much wiser move. So maybe our threat assessment team, also our new Ohio School Safety Commission, that group that came and helped us do our drills last year, maybe someone from that committee could come and help us assess the threat. So I think it's got good intention. It's got to be maybe tampered and amended a little bit, but so we'll see how it goes.
Would it be wise to have someone on that committee credentialed in assessing mental health?
Yes, and that's exactly right. And you'd have to have some evaluation. Then there's language about whether it's a school person. I'm not so sure it should be a school person. I would rather have an independent person. Once again, it's that emotional connection. Can't imagine maybe the high school counselor having to make a decision or recommendation for a high school student who just had a weapon at school. It just gets tough. So I think it needs some work, but there's some good spirit to this, I think. We'll see. I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Also coming up, work sessions next 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have Miss Abby Abernathy, our special ed director, talking about the policies that she most deals with. And it's going to be a special ed service, accommodations, and all those kind of things. So that's what we have planned for our next work session. Hope you got to enjoy at least some of homecoming, maybe on social media, if nothing else. Fabulous week. I don't remember this much spirit at the high school in a while. Just really had a good week at Ross with spirit. Unfortunately, we didn't get a victory Friday night, but the week as a whole was just a really, really fun week at homecoming. PD this Friday, professional development. It's sort of our every year around October 12th, we have a day. So we've got that planned. Denise has a fabulous schedule out for the staff. A lot of great things that they'll be working on. And as always, some of those things are elective where staff can pick some items. Some exciting news. The volleyball team is kind of the one to watch right now. They have a shot at a league title, which someone told me the other day how long it's been. I forget what that was. It's been a while, double digits for sure, since we've had a volleyball league title. So they're in position to maybe do that. So we're rooting for them. 2 big games this week, and we wish them well. And then the last thing, Denise, if you wouldn't mind, actually this is Sarah's idea. Last meeting, we gave you the paperwork and realized it was really too small to see. So this is just a grown-up version. Maybe someone with a microscope can see the same results. So it's basically the same paperwork for our state tests as we had last week. Just a little easier for you to peruse, find some answers, find some things, get online, all that. So I just wanted you to have that since we're last meeting, those documents were maybe not the most user-friendly. So that's that. All right. I think that's it for my report. Any questions from anyone? May I proceed?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Price. All right. Moving on to facilities and operations. We have donations here from the Fremont Company, J&M Fruit Farm, Janet Miles, Rainbow Station, and Jeff Straka. Once again, a lot of generosity out there.
Can I get a motion to approve item 1, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom. Yes. Mrs. Spiritu. Yes. Ms. Laird. Yes. Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have 4 policies. The first 3 are data retention and records, and then the last one is student attendance. Now, that item 5, there was some COVID language still in our policy for attendance that had to do with quarantine and some other things that we don't think are no longer necessary. So those 4 policies for you this evening, first reading only for those.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve items 2 through 5, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lewis. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion?
It's great that a lot of this is behind us. My only caution is when you remove something, should anything
Here we go again.
unexpected come, it requires an action to put that back.
Back
So
in, for sure.
not saying we shouldn't remove
I
it.
get it. Duly noted. Yeah.
Just something to consider.
I just pray it never happens.
Because right now it's at a place where it doesn't, it just says that should it need to be, you have
Right.
permission to
Yeah, prerogative.
put measures into place. It doesn't say everybody has to wear a mask.
Right.
So
Roll call, please.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Bloom. Mrs. Bloom, sorry.
It was Mrs. Spiritu.
Oh,
who
my
seconded it.
bad.
Sorry.
I miswrote that. Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Item 6 was standalone because it's the second reading for that policy. If you recall, that is the one is our organizational chart where we just changed, actually, Denise's title is a primary change on that. So just a second reading for that, and we'll have that fully approved.
Can I get a motion to approve item 6, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion?
I just noticed, I think, one thing on that org chart, that everybody seems to be tied except for the college readiness.
Mr. Walker?
Like the box is there, but there's not like a line that
Connects him.
to whom
Oh.
he reports to. So I would just ask that we take a look at that.
Thank you. I didn't notice that. So he's not really connected with a line.
Correct.
Should be right under Denise. So we'll check that.
It kind of looks like that can be implied,
Got it.
but it's not. Everybody else is definite.
Pretty clear.
so-
Got it. Thank you. We'll check that.
Sure.
Thank you. Just so everyone understands that that is a direct report for Mrs. Hurt. Yeah.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom? Yes. Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our staff items this evening, number 7. We have some appointments. We have certified staff substitutes. They're in item A. Item B, we have a couple cooks, secretaries, and custodial 2. And then another substitute staff there, Jennifer Shimanowski. Moving on to the next page, we have a list of, first, our certified supplemental contracts. You'll notice most of those are assistants for winter sports, and we have a few head coaches for spring. So kind of the rhythm is we get the head coaches done first, and they make recommendations for their staff. So right now we've got winter head positions done. So now the assistants come rolling in, and then we get the spring head places so we can get their assistants as soon as possible. I know it's hard to imagine, but it'll be here before you know it. Item 9. Supplemental duty, these are the same positions, but for any of them that is not certified staff members. You can see basketball, wrestling, all the same things. Moving on, page 6, that list continues. And then item 10, we have Stephanie Martin. We didn't have her on the list for tournament events, so if we have any playoff games, we'll have Stephanie to help us. Item 11, as a student, Adam Taylor will help us as a tech assistant in the PAC. He did some of that last year. He's our returning letterman when it comes to tech support for Henry. So Adam is a great kid, and just really looking forward to having him back in that position. And then item 12, Tracy Behrman would like to be a bus chaperone. Those are our personnel items for this evening.
Can I get a motion to approve items 7 through 12, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Spiritu. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lewis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. All right. Moving on to report of the treasurer.
Good evening. Don't have too much to report on. I've been hearing the same as Mr. Detweiler with concerns about the real estate taxes and adjusting the 20 mil floor. So that'll be interesting to watch over the next couple of weeks as to how that all shakes down. I was also very lucky to get to participate in some of the homecoming activities this weekend. I walked with a couple of the little nieces and nephews in the parade and then helped some of the older ones get ready on Saturday for the dance, which that was a little emotional as they're getting older. And it's like, oh, shoot.
Yes, they are.
So, but I do have a couple, or just the one item tonight for approval. We have a new investment club that was not in place at the beginning of the year, so we didn't have any appropriations for them. So we have the appropriations on there for that. And then also athletic, they're going to be using some of their money to do some facility repairs this year that we planned for after we set appropriations. So we just have those two adjustments to the appropriations.
And that is athletic department money, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep, that is athletic department money.
Okay.
So they have graciously decided to help us out this year.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve item 13, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion?
If I may just elaborate on the investment club, Denise, connect me. That's AJ Malo
Yep.
at Ross, right? Okay. Just he's going to have some kids get a certain amount of money, obviously, just, monopoly money, right? And then work the stock market with that money. So it's kind of an investment game, I say, but just an investment club where they watch stocks and manage a portfolio. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
that on
Got it.
Final Forms through Ava. So I saw that it was Mr. Malo doing it. I thought,
Yeah.
perfect. He'll be
Stuff.
great at it. And a great piece to have for kids to get involved in that, to
Absolutely.
get some knowledge of that before they get out and
That's
have
right.
real money to
Exactly.
do that with.
That's
So,
right. Just want to make sure you knew what that was.
roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. Moving on to board member communications. Lori.
Well, thank you for all the donations from the public and the community, and all the new subs and cooks and all the new staff that we've got, and keeping that up. All the new coaches giving up their time to do for the kids, and all the volunteers that jump in with them.
Anything else?
I just want to mention I enjoyed seeing the homecoming pictures on Facebook. It was nice that they had a great weekend.
They did.
And celebrating coming up to the homecoming. I also like that I enjoy seeing all the pictures that they post of their different schools, like the elementary schools, of the activities that they're doing. So I really enjoy that. So I'm waiting for Leah's picture to show up soon. Hopefully she's participating in something. So no, it's really nice to see all the different things that they're doing. And it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, when I'm scrolling through and seeing all the smiling faces of the kids, it's really nice.
Chantel?
Thank you to everybody for the donations, and quite an exciting school year. Hard to believe we're mid-October already. Exciting things, going on, and wish the kids the very best.
Sarah?
It was just kind of an electric week in the school system, so that was nice to see. Shout out to all the fall sports. It's hard to believe that we're now nearing the end of fall sports and preparing for the winter sports programs. Again, like you said, the girls volleyball team has been amazing to watch. I've been able to catch a couple of matches, and they've been awesome. Congrats to the Fremont Ross Marching Little Giants for being chosen as the BCSN Band of the Week. I know they were rewarded with some Chick-fil-A maybe, and just the recognition on BCSN. So that was really neat for them. Those kids work hard. I would put them up with any other athletic team. Like, they work hard all summer, and what they do is not an easy task. And we really appreciate the marching band. Along with all the festivities, it was awesome to see all of the marching band alumni, flag corps. I don't know if we even have flags anymore at the high school, but it was neat to see all of the old guard out there with the flags, and just all the alumni that participated at the game on Friday night. Obviously, thank you to all of our volunteers and the community who donates. And congratulations to Brianna Sims and Jeremiah Risper, our homecoming queen and king.
Mr. Price, you mentioned the donations, all of you did, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say something about Rainbow Station. Rainbow Station closed, and Miss Roberta has been doing Rainbow Station for nearly 3 decades.
Yes.
And she invited our preschool team to come in and go through the stuff that she had collected and stuff that she had for her students. And it was a very emotional, I heard, I didn't go, but it was a very emotional process, I know, for Miss Roberta, but also for our teachers who know Miss Roberta and the program and the work that they've done there. There's a lot of kids in this town who are part of Miss Roberta and the Rainbow Station. So I just want to make sure that we just maybe a little special shout out for her. You know, it says here, not listed from Rainbow Station, but we got books and games and puzzles and toys and all kinds of things. They had a sale and kind of gotten rid of the first wave of stuff. And then they allowed our preschool teachers to come in and help themselves. It was very generous from Rainbow Station and the Presbyterian Church, but also very meaningful for our community. That and even one of the ladies on the board said to me, we've been in ministry in this community for a long time. We want to continue to be that ministry for the schools. It was very special. So I just want to make sure everybody heard that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. No, thank you for that. Good luck to the sports teams as they're finishing up their fall season, getting into tournaments. Some of them already are. I know tennis had already been in tournaments and stuff. So good luck to them. Congratulations to the whole homecoming court for Friday night. That was other than a loss in the football game, but it was a good night to see the elementary kids get paraded in and get to see all the parents and teachers, and just, you know, it's fun for them. They love being on that field. And like you said, Sarah, the alumni, I mean, the halftime show was always good because the band was extra large that night with the alumni. So that was cool to see. So other than that, we'll move on, and I'm going to make a motion for us to move into executive session under item H. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion? Just for the public to know, there won't be any business done after the executive session. We'll come out of executive session and adjourn immediately, so there's no new business after this. That roll call, please.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom? Yes. Mrs. Speartoo?
Yeah.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Motion's approved. We are now in executive session.